If you like storytime vibes, hit subscribe and let's dive in together.
You're not a real man if you don't fight for me. That was the last thing she screamed before I walked out of the house party, leaving her standing there with everyone staring. Her voice still echoes in my head sometimes, not because it hurt, but because it was the moment I realized I was finally done fighting for someone who only wanted attention, not love. I didn't shout back. I didn't break anything. I just set my drink down, turned around, and walked away. She thought she'd embarrassed me that night. But the truth? She revealed everything I'd been ignoring for months. You know how people say peace feels boring when you're addicted to chaos? That was Claire in a nutshell. We'd been together almost 2 years. From the outside, we looked solid. 2 steady jobs, a cozy apartment, a predictable life. We were the kind of couple people called stable. She used to say we had a safe space. But lately, the word safe had started to sound like a complaint on her lips. It began subtly. Little digs, small jokes. Then the teasing at that dinner with her co-workers. We were out celebrating one of their promotions. I was there just to support her, to be the quiet boyfriend who smiled and nodded at the right moments. Claire was glowing under the restaurant lights, laughing louder than usual, soaking up every bit of attention. One of her co-workers, a tall marketing guy named Max, leaned back in his chair and smirked. "I can't believe you're still tied down, Claire. You, the party girl?" She laughed, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Oh, I'm not tied down. I just happen to like him." The whole table laughed. Except me? Later in the car, I asked quietly, "Did that joke make you uncomfortable?" She sighed and rolled her eyes. "Relax, it's just how we joke at work. You're too serious sometimes." That became her favorite line. "You're too serious. You overthink everything. You need to lighten up." I wasn't jealous. I just didn't like being treated like background noise in her life. But every time I brought it up, she flipped it around, accusing me of being controlling or insecure. And I kept letting it slide, because I loved her. Because I thought calm meant strength. Looking back, maybe that calm was exactly what made her restless. It got worse when we started hanging out with her old college friends again. They'd drink too much, talk about the good old days, and eventually the conversation always slid into wild stories about exes. She'd laugh and joke about her crazy college boyfriend, the one who cheated on her but, according to her, made her feel alive. That word alive started to bother me. One night, driving home after one of those hangouts, I asked, "Do you ever miss that chaos?" She smirked at me, her lipstick smudged from the night. "Sometimes. But don't worry, I like stability too. I just wish you had a little more fire." Fire. That's what she called manipulation, jealousy, yelling. The kind of toxic passion that burns everything around it and calls the ashes love. I didn't realize it then, but she was already setting the match to us. The final spark came a few weeks later at our friend Jason's birthday party. Claire was unusually excited for it. New dress, new hairstyle, non-stop talk about who'd be there. When she mentioned that Evan, her ex from college, might show up, she said it too casually, like she wanted to see how I'd react. I just nodded. "Cool." She looked disappointed. "You're not jealous?" "Should I be?" I asked. She smirked. "Guess we'll see." That should have been my warning. The night started normally. Music, drinks, laughter. Claire was radiant, soaking up every glance in the room. I hung back, chatting with Jason and a few co-workers. Then Evan walked in. He looked like a cliché from a movie. Leather jacket, confident grin, the kind of guy who still thought being reckless at 30 was charming. And Claire? She lit up the second she saw him. Not a polite smile, a spark, the kind that used to be reserved for me. She went straight to him, hugged him a little too long, whispered something in his ear. He laughed loud enough for everyone to hear. Jason caught my eye from across the room. His expression said everything. You seeing this? Yeah, I was seeing it. All of it. They started reminiscing loudly, telling everyone about their wild college road trip to Miami. The night they almost got arrested. She laughed so hard she leaned into him, touching his arm like muscle memory. Each laugh felt like a knife, dull but deep. I walked over, calm but steady. Claire, can I talk to you for a second? She turned, tipsy from attention. Can it wait? We're just catching up. Not really, I said quietly. You're crossing a line. That's when she threw her hands up and shouted, God, you're not a real man if you don't fight for me. Evan at least had passion. The music stopped. Conversations froze. Someone gasped. Evan's smirk disappeared. And me? I just stared at her. Then I put my drink down and said, Then I hope you find someone worth fighting over. No yelling, no scene, just peace, the kind she used to mock. And I walked out. The silence that followed was deafening. I didn't answer her calls that night, not the, where did you go? Not the, can we talk? I packed a small bag, drove to my brother's, and slept like I hadn't in months. By morning, she'd called 11 times. When I finally went home 2 days later, she was waiting on the couch. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, rehearsed voice trembling. I just got caught up, she said. You know how I get when I drink. I didn't mean to embarrass you. I didn't sit down. Claire, you didn't embarrass me, I said. You embarrassed yourself. She flinched. I just wanted you to show some emotion. You're always so calm, so distant. I wanted to feel wanted. There it was, the excuse wrapped in fake vulnerability. So your way of feeling wanted was comparing me to your ex in front of 20 people? It was stupid, she whispered. But when you walked away like that, I realized how much I could lose. I shook my head. You didn't lose me that night, Claire. You lost me months ago. That was just the proof. She started crying, the kind that used to make me fold. But I was past that. I'll stay with my brother for a while, I said. You can take your time finding a new place. Her eyes widened. Wait, are you ending it? Over one mistake? No, I said. Over a pattern. I walked to the door. She followed me, pleading. Please don't do this. I can fix it. I'll make it right. But I was already gone. That's the thing people never tell you about walking away. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's clean. And in that quiet, I finally found peace. Word spread faster than I expected. Jason called me a few days later. Bro, he said, everyone saw what happened. You handled it like a king. Apparently, someone had recorded the moment Claire shouted, You're not a real man, and posted it to our group chat. The clip went viral among our friends. Her outburst became a meme. She tried doing damage control, posting inspirational quotes about communication and how alcohol brings out repressed feelings. No one bought it. Even Evan distanced himself, telling mutual friends, I just went to a party, didn't expect drama. By the second week, she was spiraling. She texted me non-stop. We could fix this if you just talk to me. You're acting like I'm a monster. Please, I didn't mean it like that. But every message sounded like a PR statement, not an apology, and I wasn't interested in editing her story anymore. Meanwhile, my life got quiet, in the best way. I threw myself into work, got promoted after years of being overlooked because I'd spent too much time managing her moods. I went back to the gym, reconnected with old friends she didn't vibe with, and rediscovered what it felt like to just be happy. No eggshells, no drama, no emotional manipulation disguised as passion. A few months later, I ran into her at a cafe near my office. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but like someone who'd lost the constant attention she lived on. She froze when she saw me, then forced a smile. "You look good," she said softly. "Yeah," I replied. "I've been good." There was a pause. Two people standing on opposite sides of a bridge they'd both burned. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," she said. "I miss what we had." I nodded. "I don't." That was it. No bitterness, just truth. I paid for my coffee and left. Later that night, Jason texted me. "Guess who's trying to get sympathy from everyone again? Nobody's buying it." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because when someone tries to humiliate you publicly, the best revenge isn't shouting back. It's becoming someone they can't reach anymore. But life has a funny way of circling back, especially for people who never learn from their mistakes. About 6 months later, her name flashed on my phone again. Claire. I stared at it for a second, then let it ring. A minute later, a message popped up. "Hey, I know this is random, but can we talk? About what? About us, please." I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said what I said. You were amazing to me and I ruined it. I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, another message. "You don't understand how hard it's been." Evan was a nightmare. Controlling, jealous, everything I accused you of being. I should have appreciated what I had. The irony made me laugh. Over the next week, her messages escalated from, "I miss you," to, "You'll never find someone who loves you like I did," to the classic, "I was drunk that night. It didn't mean anything. I was scared you'd leave first." She even had her friend, the same one who recorded the video, text me. "Claire's in a bad place. She's been crying non-stop. Maybe just meet her for closure." Closure. Funny word. I'd already found mine months ago, in silence, in growth, in peace. I didn't respond to Claire's messages for weeks. Not because I was being cruel, but because I finally understood something she never did. Silence is an answer. When someone crosses a line that deep, no amount of "I was drunk" or "I didn't mean it" can erase the truth. She had shown me who she was when she screamed in front of everyone, comparing me to a man who cheated on her, and somehow made herself the victim. But closure, it seems, isn't something she could live without. One Saturday morning, I got a knock on my door. When I opened it, she was standing there, hair pulled back, dark circles under her eyes, holding 2 coffees, the same brand we used to get every Sunday. "I figured you wouldn't answer my texts," she said softly. "So I came to apologize in person." I stood there, unsure whether to invite her in or close the door. Old habits die hard, and part of me still remembered the girl I used to love. The one who used to wake up early just to make pancakes and hum songs off-key. But that girl was gone. The woman in front of me was a stranger holding nostalgia like a weapon. "Claire," I said quietly, "there's nothing left to apologize for." "Yes, there is," she insisted. "You didn't deserve any of it. That night I was drunk and stupid and—" "Stop," I interrupted. "It wasn't about being drunk. It was about who you are when you are drunk. That's the real you, the one who craves attention more than respect." She blinked, her eyes glistening. "I've changed." "Then prove it to yourself," I said. "Not to me?" I closed the door gently before she could reply. She didn't knock again. Over the next few months, I thought that was the end of it. But life had other plans. About 3 months later, I got a call from an unknown number. "Is this Daniel Brooks?" a man's voice asked. "Yes." "This is Officer Trent from the City Police Department. We need to confirm if you know a woman named Claire Walker." My stomach dropped. "Yes. What happened?" "She's fine, physically, but she listed you as an emergency contact." Apparently, Claire had been found outside a nightclub, intoxicated, involved in a minor altercation with her new boyfriend. The same pattern, different man, different stage. The officer said she was being released but had no one else to call. Against my better judgment, I went to pick her up. She was sitting on the curb, mascara smeared, hugging her knees like a lost child. When she saw me, her eyes widened with shame. "You came," she whispered. "Because the officer called," I said flatly. "You shouldn't have listed me as your emergency contact." "I didn't change it," she murmured. "You were always the person I trusted most." That line hit differently, not because it was sweet, but because it was tragic. She had trusted me, but she never respected me. "Come on," I said, helping her up. "I'll drive you home." The ride was quiet until she finally broke the silence. "Evan was worse than I remembered," she said bitterly. "He made me feel worthless. He cheated again, with one of my friends. And the worst part? I saw it coming." I didn't say a word. She looked over at me, searching for sympathy. "You're not even going to say, 'I told you so'?" I shook my head. "Claire, I don't want revenge. I just want peace." Her eyes filled with tears. "You always wanted peace. That's why I thought you didn't care enough. But now, I see that was the only real kind of love." She reached out and touched my hand. "Can we start over?" I gently pulled my hand away. "No. I hope you start over, but not with me." Her tears finally broke. But I didn't stay to comfort her this time. I dropped her off at her apartment, waited until she was inside, and drove away without looking back. After that night, she stopped contacting me. At least for a while. But people like Claire don't fade quietly. They drift back into your life like smoke from a fire you thought you'd put out. Months later, I ran into her again. Not in person, but online. One of my coworkers sent me a link to a video. Toxic relationship lessons. My biggest regret. There she was, sitting in front of a camera, telling a filtered, carefully edited version of our story. She painted herself as the flawed but growing woman, and me as the stoic man who never expressed emotion. She called that night at the party a turning point, and thanked the man who walked away for teaching her self-worth. My jaw clenched, but I couldn't even be mad, because for the first time, she was right about one thing. Walking away did teach her something. Maybe not about love, but about consequences. About a year later, I was in a much better place. I'd started dating someone new, Emma. Emma was everything Claire wasn't. Gentle without being fragile, curious without being chaotic. She didn't need attention to feel alive. She just needed honesty. One night, as we were making dinner together, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number, message. "Hey, I just wanted to say I'm truly sorry. I hope you're happy." I didn't even need to check who it was. Emma looked over and asked, "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I smiled. Just an old chapter closing itself. I deleted the message without replying. A few months after that, I got invited to Jason's wedding. He was marrying his longtime girlfriend, someone Claire used to mock for being too simple. At the reception, Jason pulled me aside and said, "Guess who reached out to me last month?" I sighed. "Let me guess, Claire?" He nodded. "Yeah. She wanted to apologize to everyone. Said she's been in therapy. Seems like she's finally facing her stuff." "Good for her," I said, and I meant it. He grinned. "Man, you really have changed. A year ago, that would have pissed you off." I chuckled. A year ago, I was still trying to fix people who didn't want to be fixed. Later that night, while the music played and couples danced under the string lights, I stood by the edge of the venue, watching Emma laugh with Jason's wife. For the first time in years, I felt something simple. Contentment. Not fireworks, not chaos, not the dramatic highs and lows that Claire used to crave. Just steady warmth. And I realized that love doesn't need to feel like a war to be real. Sometimes, peace is passion, just quieter. A few weeks after the wedding, I got one last message from Claire. This time it wasn't on my phone. It was a letter, handwritten. She wrote, "Daniel, I don't expect you to reply. I just wanted to say thank you. Not for forgiving me, because I know you probably never will, but for showing me what love should have been. I'm in therapy now, trying to figure out why I kept destroying the good things in my life. You were right. I didn't lose you that night at the party. I lost myself long before that. I hope someday you tell someone about us, not as a story about betrayal, but as a lesson about timing, maturity, and knowing when to walk away. Claire." I folded the letter and put it away. Not out of nostalgia, but respect for the closure that finally came without chaos. Months later, I told Emma the whole story, not in detail, just the broad strokes. She listened quietly, then smiled and said, "She helped you become the man I get to love now? So, thank her, in a way?" I laughed. I guess she did. And just like that, Claire became what she was always meant to be. A chapter, not a curse. Sometimes I still think about that night, the party, the humiliation, the moment I walked away. If I could go back, I wouldn't change a thing, because that was the night I stopped mistaking drama for love. The night I realized that real strength isn't in fighting for someone who disrespects you. It's in knowing when the fight is over. And when people ask me now what happened to Claire, I just say, "She taught me peace, the hard way." Then I smile, take Emma's hand, and keep walking forward. Because some stories don't need revenge, they just need an ending.